The Bible contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the doom of sinners, and the happiness of believers. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its stories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be holy. It contains light to direct you, food to support you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's map, the pilgrim's staff, the pilot's compass, the soldier's sword, and the Christian's charter. Here, paradise is restored, heaven opened, and the gates of hell disclosed. Christ is its grand subject, our good the design, and the glory of God its end. It should fill the memory, rule the heart, and guide the feet. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. It is a mine of wealth, health to the soul, and a river of pleasure. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and will condemn all who trifle with its sacred contents. Pray it in, read it through, live it out, and pass it on.
Egypt became a symbol of sin throughout the Bible from this point onwards. Immediately after leaving Egypt, God instituted the routine sacrifice of animals for the sins of the Israelites until the death of Jesus Christ. The Israelites did as the Lord commanded, and thousands of lives received salvation and deliverance. Their lives were spared. The firstborns were spared. But to those who did not obey the plan of salvation, they received judgment. Let's read Exodus chapter 12, 29 to 31. And it came to pass at midnight that the Lord struck all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sat on his throne to the firstborn of the captive who was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of livestock. So Pharaoh rose in the night, he, all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Then he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise, go out from among my people, both you and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as you have said. The blood not only had to be shed, but it had to also be applied. If they did not obey, if the children of Israel did not obey what God said to do, they would have lost many lives. The lamb's blood, and that was the blood of Jesus Christ, is applied for us, is applied at baptism in the New Testament. Now think about this for a moment. If I were in, surely the Egyptians and Hebrews, some of them were friends. And during the times of the plagues, when, I can just imagine an Egyptian looking at a Hebrew, and it's like, I have balls on my hands and my face and my body, and it's so painful, and I look at you and you are doing great. If I as an Egyptian, what if an Egyptian family had obeyed the plan of salvation? After going through the plagues and seeing that the children of Israel were spared those plagues, if I were an Egyptian family and I see a Hebrew family killing a lamb, and taking the blood and painting on it on the doorpost, I'm going to be curious. And I'm going to be looking at them and say, okay, what are they going to do now? What is the plan of God for them that they can be spared from this plague? I would think that there would be Egyptian families that would have been smart enough after going through so many plagues that, okay, the children of Israel are doing something different, and if I want to be spared, I better follow them. So think with me, what if an Egyptian family had obeyed the plan of salvation, if they had gone over to a Hebrew family and asked, what are you doing? And the Hebrew family actually told them the plan of salvation. And the Egyptian family actually obeyed and killed the lamb without blemish and applied the blood to the doorposts and the frames of their homes. Would they too have been saved? What if a Hebrew family, now that's the flip side, what if a Hebrew family whom God wanted to save, believed that God was going to save them, but did not obey the plan of salvation? They just sat at home and said, okay, God's just going to save me. I don't have to kill a lamb. They didn't kill the lamb, didn't put the blood on their doorpost. Even though they were Hebrew, would they still be saved? The answer is, if an Egyptian family had obeyed the plan of salvation, they too would have received salvation. And on the converse, if a Hebrew family believed that God was going to save them and did not obey the plan of salvation, they wouldn't be. This is an important principle for us to know, and this is our key number 4, that obedience was and is always part of God's plan of salvation.